So am I good to go?
Yep.
Okay. So my presentation, if we can go to the next slide, is how do professionals navigate situations when their professional beliefs clash with their supervisor or organization's beliefs, and it looks at engaging in dialogues about differences in the workplace. So in summary, what actions can we take when our morals and ideals are different than those of our supervisors or as our organization in general? Um, Magolda and Magolda found that young professionals don't look at the mission statement and a lot of other things that they should be looking at when they're looking for jobs. They're looking at geographic location, salary. Is this a position that I want to be in? But they're not looking at what does the institution stand for. So it asks, how do we open the door for the dialogue of, I am uncomfortable with this. How can I change it? So specifically, we're looking at Ned, who works at a conservative Christian university, and he's realizing that his ideals clash with those of his institution and his coworkers. But he says he's not unhappy with his job. He's just afraid that it may affect his performance as a recruiter. He just feels uncomfortable around his coworkers. He isn't sure how to bring things up. It's more of a social issue. He also says that he's living for his job, which is another issue in and of itself, especially with young professionals, that they're not looking outside of their job. He feels that he can't bring up popular music, R-rated movies, because they will clash with the ideals of his coworkers. And he's Christian, but he's a more liberal sect. And the university is also a little bit discriminatory and not very accepting, and he gets uncomfortable. And as an admission counselor, it's very hard to have not positive feelings about your university because that can affect how you present the school. Why would you want to convince someone to come to your school um, if you're not happy with it? How can you do that? So it's an internal clash. So the theory that we're looking at, Robert Nash has an applied problem-solving method that asks 10 questions that can be applied to a plethora of situations, even outside of leadership and outside of higher education. So we're looking at what are the moral themes of this case? What are the moral themes of your issue? What are the conflicts that make it an ethical dilemma? So Ned's issue is the conflict of religion and how that's affecting his daily life. Who are the major stakeholders? His office mates, his university, himself. What are some of the foreseeable consequences of the possible choices? A lot of people are afraid to speak up about conflicts because they're afraid of the ramifications, not necessarily political ramifications, but hierarchical ramifications that, they're going to give me these tasks that I don't really want to do, that are beneath me, or I'm going to be treated differently because I spoke out against something. What are some of the viable alternatives to the possible courses of action? So thinking about the outcomes based on whatever action you decide to take. What are some background beliefs that should be considered? So looking at the university itself and the fact that he has a job there and he chose to work there. The initial intuitions and gut feelings regarding the case. What's your first reaction? What choice would you make if you were to act in character in the case? So what would your initial reaction be? Looking to the professional code of ethics for your profession, I would say look at the National Association of College Admission Counselors and the NACAC Standard Principles of Good Practice. And then if you think through those 9 questions, you'll be able to come to a sound decision that you are okay with. But I really like these questions. They are definitely applicable in a lot of different situations. I found this little infographic that I really liked about the 5 skills every workplace leader needs. So it has on one side what the studies say, skills that you need, and then how to achieve those skills. I won't spend too long on this, but it's here, and I'll send this out when I send out the video that I have as well. So some of the solutions that were offered by this, looking at mentorship. So having a more seasoned employee take one of the newer employees under their wing so that they can form those types of connections and they can have someone that they feel comfortable talking to and bringing up their concerns and figuring out a plan of attack of how they're going to bring that up. Another big topic was you're developing your own inner voice, that you can say how you feel and you can have that kind of safe space, but saying it professionally and maturely and thinking about what you're going to say before you just kind of jump in and spit out everything that you are not happy with. Evaluations, they're incredibly important, so that you get that guaranteed time to sit down with your supervisor and how are things going? Well, these are my feelings on this, and have that guaranteed time where you can interact, you can voice your opinions again in that safe space, hopefully with that inner voice that is developed. And another thing that I found very interesting was the idea of tempered radicalism and tempered radicals. So they're defined as everyday leaders who seek congruence between their personal beliefs and identities and in their organization environments. So it's making a connection and coming to an understanding of your own beliefs and identity plus your organization. So I like to view that as being okay with them. Not that you 100% accept them, but you're able to bring your beliefs and your organization's beliefs together, and you are okay with it in that sense. So there's kind of a spectrum of different strategies that are kind of resisting quietly, and just going your own way, turning personal threats into opportunities. So taking these things and bringing it up in a way that something like Ned could do a brown bag lunch to talk about diversity and different religious beliefs, broadening the impact through negotiation and leveraging small wins. So being okay with one little thing that you got that, okay, it's great, I can talk about secular music without it causing a big issue. And as big as organizing collective action, which is causing something, bringing change in a bigger way on campus. And so these reflect on those 10 questions that you can kind of include tempered radicalism within all those different strategies. And I think tempered radicalism is really important for student affairs and higher education, but fostering a culture that student affairs professionals can use that to further their careers, but make us kind of a safer space. And I know that's really popular right now, is talking about the safe space, but I think the tempered radicalism, if it is at the professional level in student affairs, that can eventually trickle down to the students. And in reading about it, it's kind of important for them to have this ability to mediate situations. And then I found this TED Talk about conflict, use it, don't diffuse it, which is taking, I misspelled diffuse, oops, but taking the conflict and bringing out something positive from it, which I think this tempered radicalism idea does, and it brings across. So, and I'll email that out. I know there's really fast. I talk really fast. I'm from New York, but I tried to speed it up for you.
I think you did a really great job of concisely bringing it all together, but anybody have an immediate response or emailed if you don't email it? And Sylvia, are you ready?
Yep, I'll switch over. I think I got it going now. So are you guys able to see the screen, or?
Yes, looks good.
Okay, so 5 levels of leadership. You see all that?
Mm-hmm.
We're good. All right. Okay, so I know we got like a little bit of time, so here goes some speed reading for you. So I chose a book by John C. Maxwell. Been around for a while. This is a picture of John. He's the first time he started talking about leadership, he actually had brown hair. Now you can tell he's been doing this a while. He actually started out also, just as a little side note, a lot of his stuff was actually some religious-based speaking, guest speaking that he used to do. But he realized very quickly that a lot of the stuff that he was talking about leadership and guidance were applicable to other areas. So that's how he got into this. He talks about leadership and he says, is it a verb or is it a noun? And I think we heard that with somebody else's presentation tonight. And he says, leadership is more of a process, not a position. And it's a verb, not a noun. He mentions how people have interchangeably compared management and leadership as if they're one and the same, but they're very definitely two different things. Because management is at its best when he says, when everything stays the same, nothing changes, it's constant, it's unchanging, it's boring. You can see everybody at the meetings like hanging out and falling asleep. But when it comes to leadership, everything's changing because it's challenging because you're dealing with people. And that's what leadership is more about, working with this ever-changing variable. So to him, a true leader is somebody who's looking for change to encourage growth and productivity. He says an exceptional leader is expecting it. You should expect change. You should want change because you want things to get better, or change to improve a process, or, whatever it is that you're going for. And that process is always dependent on relationship building, and that, relationship building is a primary necessity when it comes to great leadership. So this is his pyramid. You start with a position 1 and then moves your way up to 5. And so I'll just go tell you a little bit about those real quickly. Level 1, people are expected to follow you just because you're in that position. You have that title given to you. And just about anybody really could get put into that type of position. It's not that they necessarily did anything to get it in some cases. So it's title only, no authority. And you don't have the trust of the individuals that you're working with, at least not yet. He talks about how the staff will follow that, positional boss because they're the boss, and that's, they got to do it, not because the boss has actually earned their trust, so they want to follow them. So a leader at that level that will find they have difficulty with their volunteers, younger employees, and even dealing higher up. So they're dealing with difficulties above them and below them. And but anyway, the basic thing that you really want to focus on it when you're at this level is building camaraderie and trust. And so that leads you into your second level. Well, if you're that's where you follow a leader because you want to, not because you have to. It's based on your relationship building that you've done in level 1. It's something that level 1 might be behind you and you're in a level 2 position at this point, but you can never let go what you did in level 1. You have to continue building those relationships and cultivating them. It's looking at your employees and aligning their talents with what you're asking them to do. And again, that's helping build that trust and camaraderie between the employees and you as a leader. And he also said that a lot of times people would get to this point and they're just really, it's like a feel good scenario. So they're just like comfortable and they're not really doing anything, working to get above or beyond level 2 sometimes. And if that's where somebody wants to stop and they're comfortable, then that's okay. That's part of their self-assessment that they should be doing at all times. But to move up to level 3, he's saying that you have to take those established followers who are passionate about their work and their goals, and you put them in the right positions and the places and got them doing things that they like, and then start looking for them to produce results for your organization. And along with that comes even greater gain, trust, and accountability. But it also gives the leader this ability to make decisions that result in even more productivity. They can take a little bit more of a risk and make those decisions that stretch just a little bit further because they've got these people who back them and support them and have a trust with them. And their people want to follow them because that leader has this track record of success now that they're starting to see. And they get excited about it and they want to be involved. They want to be one of the, be involved in something that's important, be a change maker. The morale goes through the roof. You have less turnover. You find more and more goals are met and the work is being completed. It just, it's like an all-time high kind of feeling, I guess, at this point. But the thing is, the leader at this point, you want to continue to bring those employees along with you. That's what's helping you get there. Having that confident team is a huge way to boost your level of leadership. And so if you actually are, then at that point where you can move up to what he calls the 4th level, which is people development, that's one where as a leader, you really have to stretch. it's where you want to help people then become the ones who are following you and helping you, working for you. You want to help them develop into a leader as well. And sometimes people have that fear of change, or, if I lead them, they're going to leave me, no, and they're not going to leave you just because you help them become a leader themselves. It reminded me of a saying, and I put that here: you're only as strong as the people who work for you. And I was told that a long time ago, and I've seen it in personal experience over the years in different organizations, both, in higher ed and otherwise, where, when you have a team, it's not really strong. They don't have a lot of trust, not a whole lot of confidence. They're not getting a whole lot done. There's no productivity. Well, that leader doesn't stand out to you as the kind of person that you want to follow. And so I really believe in that saying, you're only as strong as the people who work for you. A leader can't be in that position unless they do have people like that underneath them, doing, the work. And telling them over and over, thank you, on a daily basis, because they're making you look like a rock star. And so, or a superstar put here. So I think that, when you get to this level, you have to really think about, it's about the people that you're managing and working with and leading, and you're making an investment in them. And it's also giving you a huge reward for your organization as well. And so if you're lucky enough to get to a level 5, which according to him is, the coveted, most elite, prestigious level of leadership, and there's so few people who really make it to a level 5, because it is so difficult and complex. Because at a level 5, you are continuing to do everything you did level 1 through level 4, and you just keep building on that success, keep building on those relationships and cultivating them. So it's very difficult and very complex to keep up with. You have to be very committed to it. You have to have top level skills. You have a purpose, be very driven. And then he talks about, our leaders, are they naturally gifted? Are they, are they born with it, or are they made with it? And Maxwell says, they're naturally gifted leaders. They're born that way. I personally didn't really agree with that. And so went out and found another article that kind of supports what I was thinking. It's called "Is a Leader Born or Made?" And I'll send the link to it for you later in an email. But this Mike Mitz, I think that's how you might say his name, did an article for eCompass News, and he's saying, it's both. People can learn how to be a good leader. They can learn how to, encourage and work with the people they're working with, and build these relationships, and build off of their talents. And it's like putting a well-oiled machine together. I think Billy mentioned that before in his presentation, figuring out where your people need to go. And, but if you, get to that level and you choose to embrace all these responsibilities and put in the kind of hard work it takes to cultivate the people that are working with you and your relationships with them, then you end up reaping huge benefits, not only for yourself, but also for the organization. And the organization becomes what they call a level 5 organization. And it's develops opportunities not only for the leader, but also for the employees. And the leader then at that point gets to really do the ultimate thing by creating a legacy at that point. And so I thought that was an interesting way to talk about the 5 levels of leadership and working your way up. And I'm trying to do this quickly for you. Working through the 5 levels. The other thing to remember, though, that he also points out, as you're moving up those 5 levels, you can make one mistake somewhere along the way, and it might drop, you might be kind of in the level 4, and there's one, you take a risk, make a decision, and you might get kind of knocked back down to a 3, and you've got to rebuild again and keep building it back up to a 4. That can happen very easily. in any leadership role. You know, that one decision you make and then it's like kind of blows up in your face. And I'm sure some of you have probably seen that where you work at times. He also, just kind of skipping ahead, learning how to work together here, talks about making sure that you self-evaluate along the way. You know, do you really want to make that jump to the next level? Is it for you? Is it time for you to do it or not? Maybe you need to wait a while to go to the next level. So he, encourages you to do that. But my big news alert out of the whole thing and reading it is that it's really not about your personal advancement in your career. It's about advancing the people who work with you. If you focus on them and the work the mission you're trying to accomplish, then I truly do believe that you can lead well and they're going to follow you. You're going to build your relationships. You're going to have loyalty. You maintain those connections. The collaboration that can come from it to advance your organization can be absolutely amazing. So that, if nothing else, that is the biggest message of all that I took from this book with him. I have other points that I could make to you, but I can send all of that to you in emails, as I have some, just some other readings that you could look at as well. And then these videos of John Maxwell that are out there that you could look at on your own time that would help you, hear some of the things he has to say about working your way up to a level 5. So there you go.
I know there's a time crunch here at the end, but thank you. I think you all did a really good job, and I can stick around for a few more minutes. If anybody has to leave, it'll be recorded. And just a reminder to try to follow up by email on sending out any media or final thoughts or comments for people, because I do think that feedback is important, and it might be good to look at presentations again and reflect and let something sink in, and then shoot an email to the class list. So I'll send out an email so everybody can just reply all to that. And I will also be giving you all more detailed feedback. And in 2 weeks, we're having group presentations on November 30th, and I will be talking for 10 minutes max. So you guys should have plenty of time to present. So thank you all for being here tonight, and I'm sorry we went a little over, but if you do have time or questions, I'll be around for at least a few more minutes. So I guess I should have turned my video on again. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Virginia. I have to run. I have a board meeting tonight and one in the morning, so I'm sorry. I have to go, everybody.
Good luck. I completely understand.
But I will email all the.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Virginia.
Take care.
Bye.
Mm.